Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending the Revive Staffing Solutions virtual job fair event. I would like to introduce you to Ross and Emily. Ross and Emily will tell you about their company, job openings, and how to apply for those openings. Ross and Emily.
Thanks, Dan.
Hi, yes, thank you all for attending. My name's Emily, and this is Ross. We're with Revive Staffing Solutions. We also represent our sister company, Geisha Global Solutions. Between both companies, we've been in business over 20 years, and we provide flexible workforce solution services and for our leading organizations to accomplish their global business initiatives.
So, not only do we strive, really to provide quality candidates for our Fortune 500 clients, across the U.S., we create, a real, atmosphere of growth and opportunity. We really engage with our, our candidates, our, employees to develop, a relationship. So if anyone were to say, how are we, different than anyone else, that's what we really, strive for. We can't, we know that we can't control what other, how other agencies, interact, but we try to put ourselves in your shoes to, to try to make you feel comfortable and really pay attention to what you want, no matter what industry you're in. So, today we're here to talk about, Revive, within like manufacturing, engineering, light industrial, and the skilled labor side of our business, okay? So if you're looking for a career change and would be interested in other professional roles like IT positions, project management, administrative roles, customer service, etc., don't go anywhere, okay? But it's just today we're focusing on this aspect. So we're also, we're part of our sister company, Geisha Global Solutions, and love to discuss with you your career goals, and the potential opportunities that we have that that can get you closer to accomplishing those goals, those life goals. Okay, and with that, I'll pass it back to Emily.
Okay, so yeah, obviously we have clients throughout the U.S. and Illinois. But today we wanted to focus on some of our warehouse and skilled labor positions. There's just a lot of opportunities that are available there right now. In Schaumburg and Elgin, we have several clients. Those clients are focusing mainly on different warehouse positions. So there is training provided for most of these positions. So if you don't necessarily have a background in this particular environment, but are interested in talking about these particular opportunities, that's fine. We have positions for forklift operators, machine operators, assembly, material handling, shipping and receiving, and those types of roles. If you are interested in those positions, we can go into a little bit more detail later on about what company they're with and what specifically you would be doing in those roles. We also have skilled labor and leadership positions. Quite a few actually in the Wheeling and Antioch area. So if you're in Wheeling or Antioch or near the area, we have machine mechanic positions. There is some training provided if need be. They're looking for a little bit of background that can speak to your mechanical aptitude. So if you've been in a position where you were using tools, maybe you have some automotive experience, maintenance, assembly, repairs, etc. They're looking for someone who may have been a machine operator, just a little bit of experience around those machines, but someone who is willing to learn and grow with this company. It is a long-term position, and basically would be learning how to do light maintenance and repairs on punch press machines. So if you have mechanical aptitude and that's something you'd like to try out, this is a great long-term opportunity with a great company. Somewhat similar position. The same company is also looking for die setters. So those machines that I was talking about have stamping dies. There is some training provided as well. And this position will require a little bit of mechanical aptitude, experience setting up machines, possibly a machine shop background, a little bit of experience with complex dies, foil dies, and even thermal forming experience is a plus. So if either of those positions sound interesting, we'd love to go into detail and talk to you more about what goes along with that after the presentation as well. And I know the two positions that I just talked about they're kind of marketed as entry level, but there are opportunities for those of you who may be coming from a background with a little bit more experience than entry level. We know these are valuable skills, and we would love to discuss bringing you onto the team at a more advanced level with respect to your experience and goals. So if you have already established a career in a manufacturing environment and have worked on these types of machines, there are positions available for more experienced candidates as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's another position that that they're looking for. Okay, it's a production team line lead position, and that's someone that's been in a position where they were able to lead, train, maybe assisting in training, assisting the team leader, in a fast-paced environment, where they're developing, the new person who comes into a production setting. It does not necessarily have to be, but experience providing leadership in the food industry or consumer product sector, it's a huge plus. But it's not a necessity. Okay. And to be responsible for overseeing about 10 to 15 people in this fast-paced environment and high volume manufacturing environment. Bilingual in English and Spanish is, highly beneficial in this role. But I don't want you to be discouraged if you're not, because you just never know what can come from, conversating, after this, okay? Other than that, I think that there was one other position I wanted to mention that was in Elgin. That's a machine operator role, operating a line, working on a CNC machine, and offering people, just a great opportunity to grow. All of these positions, are with companies that we really believe in, that are really making an impact, are really, they want people who want to find their next home. Okay, and we're here to help them with that. And when you work with us, we're really your best, advocate. We really want to highlight what your best skills are, what your likes are, to really push you forward and be successful. We really believe in that. Okay, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Yeah. And again, we don't just deal with warehouse, skilled labor, light industrial. I know we mentioned earlier niche global solutions. So if you are more of like a customer service or an office environment type of individual, you want to get into IT and engineering, anything like that, we do also have those positions, and we'd love to talk to you about your goals and what we can do for you and placing you in a position that would be a good fit for you. And I know these descriptions were a little bit brief, but we just wanted to have a chance to, let you know a little bit about the types of positions that we have in the areas that we have them. And if anything that we mentioned today sounds like it'd be an interesting opportunity for you, or if you wanted to know a little bit more details, then we'd love to get on the phone and talk with you after this meeting. Also, if anything that we mentioned sounds like it would be a good fit for somebody that please feel free to reach out. We do have generous referral bonuses for anybody that refers an employee to us. So even if if you're not interested in the job opportunities we have, we'd still be interested in talking with you about sharing those positions. But that's all I have. Do you have anything else to add to that?
I think no. I think we've covered everything we needed to. So I think that covers our introduction. And if you guys have any questions.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you, Emily, for your presentation. Yes, at this time, we will go ahead and open up the floor for Q&A. So if anyone has questions for either Ross or Emily, you can go ahead and type those into the chat section, and we will make sure to get your questions answered. All right, doesn't look like we have any questions thus far, so I'm going to go ahead and just ask you guys some basic questions that applicants might be interested in getting answers to. Can you elaborate a little bit more on how long your hiring process typically takes from submitting an application to being hired?
Okay, well, yeah. So when an application is submitted to us, typically we'll reach out to the candidate. We'll discuss the position, discuss your experience in a little bit more detail. And then, if everything lines up and we both feel, it'll be a good fit for the candidate, we submit the resume to the client. There is, for the warehouse positions, we do like to do paperwork and talk a little bit in person with our employees. But there would be a interview is there an interview for the Elgin one?
Yes.
Okay. So two of our clients do provide on-site or do require an on-site interview. But we hear back from them usually within one business day, whether or not they want to see the candidate. So if they want to move forward, all we have to do is do the background check and submit the paperwork. So from the time that candidate would submit their resume to the time that we can get them started is between like 4 and 5 days.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. And Emily, you just kind of briefly mentioned a background check. Can you kind of elaborate on how that process typically goes?
Well, yeah. So we just get the information from our onboarding paperwork, and if the candidate's okay to submitting to this background check, all we do is put an order in the system, and typically the background check, it takes 2 to 3 days, I believe. There is an expedited process that only takes 1 day, but the background check goes back 7 years. And, having something on a background doesn't necessarily disqualify a candidate. So please keep that in mind. It just depends on the nature of what's on the background, but I think that's pretty much it. It's it's up to the employer to decide, if it's something that's far back and in the past, then won't necessarily disqualify you. So, but we do run background checks for all of our positions.
Excellent, thank you. And can you elaborate a little bit more on would applicants, assuming they're hired, are they going to be paid for the time that they're being trained?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. And can you also, either you or Ross, kind of go through what a typical day might look like for this position or the positions that you guys are hiring for?
Well, I guess I guess it would really depend on the company and the position. So I believe um, I know that we just mentioned briefly the positions, but for all the positions that we mentioned, that's between 4 or 5 different companies. Um, so I guess it really depends. It's pretty much a fast-paced environment. You would be using your hands and moving around most of the day. Um, I guess, I guess I guess that's the most I can say without
Yeah.
getting too specific on each particular role. But like whether if it's a forklift operator, you'd be driving forklift, moving skids, doing material handling type work. Um, the machine operators, um, they're involved in an assembly line. I believe there was like running the machine and doing a little bit of quality checks involved.
Right. So you're
Um,
up and about. You're on your feet.
Yeah, and then the machine maintenance mechanics and the die setters are obviously in a um, fast-paced manufacturing and production environment, very high volume. So in those particular positions, be looking after the machines, doing any repairs that are necessary, lockout, tag out sort of thing, just making sure that production gets back up and running as quickly and as smoothly as possible. I think
Yeah.
maybe more. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the majority of these positions, you're on your, you're in a manufacturing or warehouse environment, so you're on your feet, you know. Whether it's, a warehouse and you're moving, it's a logistics setting where you're moving things onto the truck or taking things off, you know, um, doing things in a safe, efficient manner, but you're on your feet and moving around. This is for people that like to multitask and do a few things, while they're on their feet. That's mainly what these positions entail, and then it depends on the time of shift, and it varies with these different positions, what they would want to what they work, what hours they work, whether you're a night owl or you're someone who wakes up early, gets out early, and still has the rest of your day to do what you need to do. Whether you just want to pick up a part-time job for the holidays and just work 4 hours a day, or have it as an additional income. That's I hope I hope, Dan, this is answering the question. I think I may be veering off a little, but I'm trying
I
to.
think you answered his next question too.
Okay. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. Okay, so a question that I obviously get hosting these virtual job fairs quite frequently in this day and age is obviously COVID related, a lot of COVID related issues. So can you guys kind of elaborate on how some of these companies are handling COVID safety precautions? Are they providing PPE? Are they maintaining social distancing? Things of that sort.
Yeah, so they have a process in place, and we've gotten in the habit of telling new hires that just because these particular companies do this, to arrive 10 to 15 minutes early on your first day, just to get to know everything, but also because you do, before entering the building, you do have to check in with a nurse. They have nurses on site that will do a temperature check on everyone before they enter the facility. And masks must be worn at all times. So throughout the shift, everyone will have a mask on, and anyone that's in the vicinity will have already gotten checked. I believe one of them goes an extra step and goes through a little questionnaire with each of the with each of the employees every day and make sure that they ask all the questions to be sure that they're not experiencing any symptoms of COVID as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Emily. And then another question that I have for you guys is for any of these open positions, are there any sort of educational requirements? For instance, do applicants need to have a GED or a high school diploma?
Yeah.
I believe they do for
the skill.
yes, for the skilled labor positions. So like the leadership role I talked about, the die setter and the mechanic position, those do require a high school equivalency. But I believe for the warehouse positions, like the material handler, the assembly positions, forklift, I don't believe that there's a requirement for that, is there?
No, it's more like bare minimum exposure to the set environment, or months and years of experience in set positions. So it's either education, like Emily had mentioned, or experience.
Yes. Oh, and you must be 18 years of age or older
Right.
to work in these environments.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. Another question that we get frequently is kind of asking employers to describe, what the expected work attire is going to be. And then also if you guys could kind of elaborate on, if there are any sort of restrictions placed on tattoos, hair color, piercings, etc.
Okay. No restrictions on tattoos or piercings, I believe. I guess it would depend on the company, but some employers might ask you to take any facial piercings out just for safety reasons or sanitation reasons. But as far as like hair color and tattoos, no restrictions. The dress code is typically casual, just no shorts, no tank tops, or yoga pants, but jeans are acceptable, t-shirts, sweatshirts, just as long as there's nothing inappropriate or questionable on the clothing.
Excellent, thank you. And Ross, I think you might have briefly touched on this issue, but nevertheless, maybe we'll have you guys kind of delve a little bit more into the details of it. But can you elaborate a little bit more on like your shifts? When does a night shift typically start? A day shift? Are you guys hiring for specific shifts only? Things of that sort.
Yeah, great question. Thanks, Dan. All right, so it depends on the facility, on the company, on what do they consider a first and second and third shift. Typically, first shift is 6 a.m. and it can go to 3:30. A second shift can start at 2 and it could end at 11, 10:30, or even 12. And then a third shift is, it could start from anywhere from 9:30 p.m. all the way to 11. Okay, so that, and then it could go all the way through till like an odd time, like 7:05 or 7:10. That's typically, those, what those shift times are. And right now we have a great need for second shift. And again, that could, range between like 2 p.m. to 10:30 or 3 p.m. to 11, and so forth. And then, we have a couple first, but it's mainly like the second shift where it's the greatest need right now.
Right. And again, that would just, those times would really just depend on the company, but also there are, different times and shift options if you were to choose part-time or full-time. So there are some shifts that are flexible and will work with your availability. And there are others that are set that, you know, it has to be this time to this time in order to be the full-time position.
Good point.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. And at this point, if anyone has any questions for either Ross or Emily, you can go ahead and enter them into the chat section. We'll get those answered for you. It doesn't look like we have any questions for you guys. So I just want to reiterate that I have put both Ross and Emily's contact information, both their email and their phone numbers, in the chat section. I've also put a link to the Illinois WorkNet employer booth for Revive Staffing Solutions in the chat section as well. At that link, you can go ahead and it will link you to their employer booth on Illinois WorkNet. On that employer booth, there will be a link to the job postings and openings that Revive Staffing Solution has. And it will also have contact information for both Ross and Emily there as well, should you want to follow up with them to get your questions answered. Ross, Emily, do you guys have any other information that you'd like to share before we wrap things up?
I think that's pretty much it. Thank you all for joining us. And, you know, we look forward to speaking with you in the future about some job opportunities.
I agree. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and we hope we can help you in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you both. Have a wonderful day.
All right. Thank
Thanks.
you.
You
Bye-bye.
too.